The year is 1887, and two brothers step foot in Detroit carrying nothing but their dreams and each other. Just a few years later, they're running one of the most significant machine shops in the city, collaborating with the man who would permanently transform the automotive industry, Henry Ford. But here's what most people don't realize. These brothers were truly the ones who helped transform the Ford company into an enormous success, constructing nearly every part of their vehicles with unmatched quality. Without their contribution, the Model T would never have existed, and the Ford Motor Company wouldn't be the giant it is today. Yet despite their remarkable accomplishments, they've stayed largely unknown, their contributions buried beneath the enormous shadow cast by Mr. Henry Ford himself. Their alliance with Ford would eventually evolve into competition when the brothers chose to launch their own automobile company. At their peak, they climbed to become the second highest-selling car manufacturer in the United States, trailing only their former business associate turned competitor. But this is precisely where their fortune began to crumble, leaving a legacy that hardly anyone acknowledges despite their name appearing on millions of vehicles worldwide. This is the heartbreaking tale of the Dodge brothers. Growing up poor in Niles. During the 1860s, John and Horace Dodge were brought up in the modest town of Niles, situated in Michigan's far southwest corner. Their father operated a machine shop with his brothers, constructing and servicing boat engines. While growing up in Niles, John and Horace learned to work hard and never voice complaints about their financial struggles. Based on their own accounts, their early years were challenging. This modest upbringing united the red-haired brothers as collaborators, instead of creating rivalry between them. Despite the 4-year gap in their ages, they demonstrated identical determination and work habits from their earliest years, accepting whatever jobs they could find to help their family financially. But in 1882, the Dodge family needed to move. Initially from Niles to Battle Creek, then subsequently to Port Huron following their family business's failure. As young men, John and Horace started working with their father at the Upton Manufacturing Company, a business focused on steam engines and threshing equipment. Here, the two brothers perfected their skills as expert machinists and obtained crucial knowledge working with iron and steel. These responsibilities rapidly developed into genuine enthusiasm as they grew passionate about their craft. Yet John, being the elder sibling, felt unsatisfied remaining in Port Huron and chose to pursue greater prospects beyond their small community. After reaching 21 with merely 50 cents to his name, John gathered his belongings and traveled toward Detroit. Starting out in Detroit. Upon reaching Detroit in 1886, John Dodge secured employment at Murphy Iron Works, earning $16.50 weekly. 1 year later, Horace Dodge likewise came to Detroit, and John swiftly arranged for his younger sibling to join him, where he earned $13.50 each week. Though the brothers appreciated their employment, the demanding labor in a smoke-saturated workshop may have contributed to John contracting tuberculosis. John's diagnosis alarmed the family and prevented him from working for several months. Based on the Dodge family's account, his medication consumption heightened his alcohol dependence and initiated his pattern of excessive drinking, a characteristic the brothers would maintain throughout their professional lives. After John's recovery, the brothers decided to locate safer employment. This brought them to the Dominion Typograph Company in 1892, positioned across the river in Windsor, Canada, where they produced typesetting equipment and discovered specialized tools enabling superior precision in manufacturing. During their Canadian period, the brothers achieved their first entry into the transportation sector when Horace created a 4-point bicycle ball bearing. His groundbreaking design offered the advantages of being dust-resistant while delivering a smoother ride requiring less effort. After his invention's success, the red-haired brothers joined forces with Fred Evans and together created the Evans and Dodge Bicycle Company in 1897. Utilizing their patented bearing, this enterprise achieved tremendous market success. Yet intense competition within the bicycle sector would significantly jeopardize their company's future. The brothers concluded it was time to leave the bicycle business and pursue a fresh opportunity. They liquidated their company's shares for $7,500, came back to Detroit, and invested that capital to create their own machine shop, naming it Dodge Brothers in 1900. They had no idea this choice would revolutionize the entire American automobile sector. Establishing the machine shop. When they launched their machine shop, John had reached nearly 36 years while Horace was 32. The brothers acquired sophisticated equipment, assembled a team of 12 workers, and started constructing and fixing virtually any machinery customers brought them. Within just 3 months, they rapidly built their enterprise's reputation as the premier location for precise machinery work, and clients poured in from throughout the state. A Detroit newspaper labeled their establishment as the most comprehensively equipped and modern in the city. But everything would transform when the brothers received an approach from Ransom Eli Olds, requesting their assistance producing components for his automobile enterprise, Olds Motor Works. After learning about the Dodge brothers' workshop, he assigned them to furnish engines and transmissions for his Model R curved dash. The brothers successfully delivered their components with exceptional quality, and by 1902, automobile production climbed to 2,500 units. Their collaboration with Olds Motor Works rapidly enriched them while establishing their reputation as dependable automobile manufacturers. The Dodge name quickly became interchangeable with quality and dependability, and this would connect them to someone who would transform their destiny permanently: Henry Ford. The Ford Partnership. In 1902, 39-year-old Henry Ford was launching his third effort to create an automobile company following 2 previous unsuccessful attempts. He required someone capable of helping him manufacture components. That's when he discovered the Dodge brothers. He personally visited their workshop, and after meeting them directly, Henry became so impressed that he instantly presented them a contract and guaranteed the brothers would manufacture more automobiles with him than Oldsmobile could possibly produce. Despite recognizing the dangers of collaborating with Mr. Ford, who possessed a track record of financial losses, the brothers rejected a contract renewal from Oldsmobile in 1903 and wagered that their Ford partnership would eventually prosper. Yet Mr. Ford possessed relatively minimal available cash. While the brothers fulfilled their shipments, Ford regularly missed his payments, which consistently frustrated John and Horace. The brothers developed a superior business approach. John and Horace suggested canceling the $7,000 Ford owed them and additionally providing him $3,000, entirely in return for 10% ownership in the Ford Motor Company. Though Henry despised their suggestion, he ultimately accepted their conditions. The choice to obtain 10% of the Ford Motor Company proved brilliant for the brothers, since they collected substantial earnings from their stock dividends, which increased almost instantly. The Dodge brothers additionally earned tremendous income from producing the primary parts of every Ford design between 1903 to 1914, including the iconic Model T. Following its introduction, the Model T sold millions of units, rapidly becoming the world's largest automobile production model. By 1914, estimates suggested 9 of every 10 global automobiles were Fords. The brothers expanded their workforce from 120 to beyond 5,000 employees and successfully established themselves as the planet's largest automotive parts provider. They became extraordinarily wealthy, purchasing land, yachts, and enormous estates. Yet while the two brothers ascended, securing positions among the city's richest individuals, Detroit's upper-class society rejected them entirely. John and Horace had reputations for socializing with their workers after business hours, frequenting bars, and drinking alongside their employees. They additionally became known for engaging in altercations at neighborhood establishments. So what action did they take? They assumed the Detroit Symphony's financial obligations and granted themselves membership, systematically purchasing their entry into the elite circle. During another incident, Horace faced membership rejection from the exclusive Grosse Pointe Country Club. Responding to this, he purchased the adjacent property and constructed an enormous mansion featuring a 12-car garage positioned toward the club, entirely to generate maximum disturbance and irritate the members. Launching their own company. Though the Henry Ford and Dodge brothers partnership enriched them all tremendously, both sides always understood they would ultimately separate. Ford sought to eliminate the brothers, while John and Horace grew tired of serving someone whose pride and inflexibility regularly irritated them. Over the years, the brothers provided Ford extensive recommendations for improving his automobiles, including the famous Model T. Yet Ford consistently ignored their suggestions, which genuinely annoyed the brothers. Therefore, in 1913, John Dodge chose to step down from his Ford Motor Company vice president position. They initiated an aggressive 18-month strategy to reorganize their activities. On July 1, 1914, the brothers established their own automobile business, the Dodge Brothers Motor Company. It surprised nobody when over 6,000 individuals attended the grand unveiling of the inaugural Dodge automobile, the Model 30. The new Dodge automobile featured a 35-horsepower, four-cylinder engine, generating 15 additional horsepower compared to the Ford Model T. It became the first automobile featuring an entirely metal construction. Unlike Ford's Model T, Dodge's vehicle included an electric starter, headlights, a 12-volt electrical system, and a speedometer. By 1915, over 45,000 Dodge automobiles had been manufactured and purchased, establishing them as America's third highest-selling automaker during merely their inaugural complete production year. When questioned why their automobiles cost more than the Model T, Horace straightforwardly responded, "The competition between the two brands had clearly commenced, and the Dodge Brothers Motor Company was ascending, with 72,000 vehicles purchased in 1916 to beyond 100,000 vehicles in 1917. While the brothers rapidly manufactured and marketed their automobiles, they retained a 10% ownership portion of the Ford Motor Company and utilized the dividends from those holdings to finance their enterprise. Essentially, Henry Ford was directly funding a rival company's operations. He detested it. He chose to halt dividend payments to his investors, which led the Dodge brothers to initiate legal action against Ford. Following 3 years of courtroom battles, they ultimately prevailed. Henry Ford needed to compensate them beyond $2 million in overdue dividends. Aggravated by this situation, Ford determined in 1919 to purchase their complete holdings in his company for $25 million. Between this stock purchase and the dividends they'd collected, they achieved an astounding $32 million profit on their original $10,000 investment. Their vehicles achieved such excellent standing that in 1916, a U.S. Army lieutenant utilized 3 Dodge vehicles during a U.S. expedition to Mexico, successfully establishing Dodge as the initial military vehicle the U.S. Army ever employed. This subsequently influenced their new business direction as they secured contracts furnishing military vehicles throughout the First World War. By 1920, the brothers had developed their enterprise into the second highest-selling automobile company in the U.S., trailing exclusively Ford, shipping beyond 145,000 vehicles that year. Yet precisely when superior achievements appeared imminent, disaster occurred. Tragedy strikes. On January 2, 1920, John and Horace departed Detroit to participate in the National Automobile Show in New York. Upon returning the subsequent week, they had contracted influenza, which rapidly progressed into pneumonia. Horace initially fell ill, and John hurried to his side. Yet John likewise became sick and required immediate bed rest. Though Horace's condition started improving, John's situation deteriorated, devastating everyone when he passed away merely 10 days afterward. Horace ultimately achieved complete recovery, but felt utterly devastated by losing his elder brother. Horace kept operating the enterprise, but shortly his condition started declining again. By August of that identical year, he stopped actively directing the company, instead withdrawing to a